Hello everyone, it's Matt here from Prepared UK, and today I have with me
Meso and Mini.
And we are going to be demonstrating for you today the Yellowstone 850ml Flameless Cook Set. Flameless cooking is not a new concept. It's been around in the military for a long time, using quicklime and water to heat MREs. What Yellowstone and Trekmates and a couple of other companies have done is they have brought quicklime cooking, flameless cooking, not only into the 21st century, but also into the house and into a domain where it's accessible for all of us. So, I'm going to give a pouch of all-day breakfast to Mini Prepper, and contained in here is a 50-gram flameless heater pouch unit, flameless heater, yeah, and between them Mini and Meso are going to prepare an all-day breakfast. Okay guys, go to it.
Okay. You can have the dish. Thank you.
So we squeeze all of the food.
You're going to have to squeeze it.
That's it. Now, if you roll it down from the end, that's it. Keep those in there. I'll hold that for you. That's the way to do it.
Should we start? Should I pour it in yet?
I think if you pour it in, I think it might start to heat up very quickly, if not almost straight away. So if you just wait until we've got the beans ready for the breakfast.
And beans on the table.
Uh-oh.
Eat them.
There is, I can feel just in there is a little bit of breakfast left, and we just want to make sure that we get all of it. There you go, look at that.
Ooh, yum.
So I will tidy that bean up for you.
Good bean? Good bean?
Very good bean. If you want to just spread that out with your spork evenly across the bottom of the pan so it heats up evenly.
Use your spoon side and then you can eat with the fork.
No, I eat with a spoon.
That's it, just spread it all out nice and evenly.
A bean.
Okay, that's lovely.
Okay, bean there.
You can eat that if you want. Ooh. And now, to activate the heater pad, which sits in the bottom of the plastic insulated box, you just simply add, how much is it? Is it 150?
150.
150 millilitres of water. Okay, away you go. Now this can be quite an energetic reaction once it gets going. So do you want to pop the food tray in the box? It's starting to go already, look. There we go. And pop the lid on. Okay, we got it. There.
Oh my goodness.
Already we have quite a... I thought it was going to be quite an energetic reaction, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Already the quicklime has heated a sufficient portion of the water so that it's come up to make quite a decent amount of water vapour.
Should I go get a towel?
Yes, please. So, Mini Prepper, where do you think something like this would be useful?
You could use it in an office power cup.
You could use it in an office, and you could use it in a power cup. Yeah. My office at work, for example, we have a kitchen, but it doesn't have a cooker in it. And whilst there are a lot of really good recipes that you can cook with just using a kettle, a toaster and a microwave, this could be a valuable addition in an office, because where there isn't a cooker in an office, if you were to take a cooker in, like a camping stove or something like that, you would be in breach of fire regulations, where this doesn't breach any regulations whatsoever. It would also be useful in a power cup. Yeah, I could really see having one of these around, yeah, with a box of bits and bobs, yeah, of food, would be very useful, because if you live in a modern apartment building or a modern multi-dwelling, then what can happen is when there is a power cut, you lose all the services to the building. Which means that again, if you were to start using camping stoves and stuff to heat food, you'd be in breach of fire regulations and you may set the emergency alarms off. But where you do have a power cut, then you would only ever be 15-20 minutes away from having a lovely meal. So yeah, you could use it in an office or in a power cup. Yeah. Where else could you use it?
I've got, like, if you were broken down in the car or lost with a baby in the car, you could use it then to heat.
You could. This would be, I wouldn't use this as my first choice for heating baby food because it's quite expensive to run. Yeah. It would be a useful addition if you travelled to remote locations or on long journeys. If you had one of these in the car with a few of those little heater packs tucked away in the bottom, with a few pouches of baby food and a bottle of water, yeah, you'd know then that, or even a small child that was eating small portions of adult food that needed reheating, you'd know then that you wouldn't need a service station, you wouldn't need a garage, you wouldn't need anywhere with any baby facilities. Yeah, you could just pull over into a lay-by, yeah, pop it down, fire it up, and 15-20 minutes later you would have a hot meal for your small child or for your baby. Yeah. Again, if you were broken down, and let's say you were broken down, or let's say you weren't broken down, let's say you were stuck in a snowdrift or something like that, yeah, and it was going to be 24 hours before you were going to be rescued. This would be really useful because you shouldn't use a gas cooker or something like that in a confined space like a car, yeah. Whereas this, yeah, you could just pop it down, set it going, and 15-20 minutes later you'd have a warm meal, which in a situation like that, if you were broken down, it's going to bring your stress levels right down because it's warm and it's comforting and it's nice, yeah. And if you're in an emergency situation, then it might be a lifesaver.
Yeah. Good.
Where else might it be useful?
If you were in a campsite and it was windy, you shouldn't use a gas or fire indoors.
Okay, you shouldn't use a gas cooker in a tent.
No.
Yeah, that's absolute, and I would never recommend using a gas cooker in a tent. Yes, you can use a gas cooker in the porch of a tent, but if you were in really, really bad weather conditions and you were hunkered down in your tent, yeah, then you could certainly use something like this, yeah, to reheat a meal. What was the second part of your use? Oh, if it was windy.
Yeah.
Now,
Flames.
yeah, one of the advantages of a system like this is, well, one of the advantages is also one of the disadvantages. Because once you've started this going, the wind won't blow it out. But then there are very few ways that you can stop it from working. Yeah, other than something really dangerous like taking all the water out of it, which, yeah, doing that could be really dangerous. But yeah, you could certainly use this camping, and I think if we turn it round and have a look at the front, the middle symbol is a tent.
To the tent.
Yeah, which suggests that it would be really
And a
good
picnic bench.
to use camping.
Yeah.
You could use it for picnicking. Yeah, if you wanted to go picnicking and you wanted to have a hot meal,
Pasta?
you could use that. Tuna pasta, sweet corn, something like that. Spaghetti bolognese,
Cottage pie.
chili con carne. Yeah, anything would go in there. A nice stew, casserole, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got maybe if you were like in a dance workshop and you weren't maybe trusted by the adults to use the stove, or maybe if you weren't allowed to use the stove, you could just pop it down.
I think there are nationwide, pretty much every Saturday morning, there are probably thousands of children up and down the country go to workshops, not just for dance but also for musicals, craft, bushcraft, yeah, gymnastics, and very often they run past or over lunchtime. Now this gives you an alternative to a packed lunch, yeah, and if you're like me and you're not a huge fan of a sandwich but you prefer to have a proper meal at a proper meal time, yeah, then this would be very useful. I think in the situation that you've described, Meso, either the staff that were running the workshop wouldn't be able to supervise you one-to-one using the stove and be confident that they were supervising the other people. Also, they may not be comfortable with using the stove themselves. Their hire may not allow them to use the stove, yeah, and they may not be comfortable, yeah, just letting the children use the stove. But something like this, which, I don't know, it looks quite energetic, and certainly the water vapour that's coming off it is hot, yeah, and could do you some harm, but you could certainly set this going with a homemade cottage pie in it, something like that.
Yeah.
Leave it on a counter somewhere, just gently supervise it, let it do its thing, and then 20 minutes later, snap, 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 hot meal. Yeah. I'm not saying sandwiches are not healthy, I'm just saying that there are there are alternatives, absolutely. Yeah. Where else might we use something like this?
If you want to camp in the garden and you don't want any grown-ups to like come and supervise you in and out.
When I was your ages, yeah, we looked forward to spending our summer holidays camping in the garden, in people's orchards, on people's small holdings, and there was always the issue of using camping stoves, lighting fires, barbecues, hexamine, gas, etc, 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 and we wanted to do it on our own, and parents, grown-ups, adults wanted to supervise us because obviously there are massive inherent risks in using fire to heat food. Yeah, this isn't a risk-free cooking system. It's a low-risk cooking system. Yeah, and I think you could probably increase your feeling of independence camping in the garden or in the orchard, somewhere like that. Yeah, and prepare decent food for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the same time. Maybe even a parent or an older sibling could prepare trays of food for you in advance, so that you could have all of the wonderment of being on your own camping in the garden.
Yeah.
But the parents and the adults would know that you were safe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And then maybe you can introduce risks in stages, and you can move on from being trusted with a system like this to then go on to be trusted with this gas system. I can see that definitely being a use for it. Definitely being a use for it.
Graduate into fire.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Rather than jumping in at the deep end.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Who's next?
Well, me. So maybe if you were playing like a game of camping hide and seek, or anything really, and you didn't really want to blow your cover with a big fire.
I think camping hide and seek, we're going to have an absolutely fantastic hot meal in the next 5 or 6 minutes. What I'm going to do after this question is I'm just going to pop it open, and I think we should just give it a quick stir to make sure that it heats through evenly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the point that Meso has raised is very valid. If you were in a hide, bird watching, wildlife watching, you were a wildlife photographer, something like that, then this is a relatively quiet and relatively innocuous way to prepare a hot meal, which if you are wildlife observing in winter or in particularly cold conditions, for extended periods of time, if you were just going for 6 or 7 hours, you could take a flask with hot food in it, couldn't you? Yeah. But if you're going for a couple of days, then something like this might work, because it's going to have, compared to a gas stove, it makes a lot less noise, it makes a lot less smell, it makes a lot less fuss, yeah, but still gives you the security that you're getting a proper hot meal, yeah, which is going to give you increased mood and increased performance, and is going to make it safer for you as well. Yeah. Now, as we don't have a lot of experience with this,
Shall we use mine? Because it's already...
If you've already got yours dirty, then we'll use yours. Now, it seems to be that where the catches aren't is where the steam vents.
Yeah.
Oh, we've actually got bubbles coming through the source of the beans there. So because it's got hot water inside it, I'll hold it still and you give it a good stir.
Oh, that's hot.
Oh, there's sausages.
It said all day breakfast on the box, so I would expect it to have bits of mushrooms, bits of bacon in it,
What's that?
Very often you have a decent sized bit of egg as well. That's the bacon. That's it. Give it a stir. Tap the excess off your spoon on the side of the pot, and then pop it down again. And we'll pop the lid on. You can feel now and hear over the last couple of minutes, it's not quite as energetic as it was.
No.
So that probably means that the temperature rises very quickly and then plateaus, which is where it is now, and then probably falls away. So I'm not quite sure where on the sigmoid we are with that, but we are probably now starting to come
we're almost done.
down. Yeah.
By looking at the water vapour then.
Yeah, it's a really quite a fascinating thing to use actually. It's really quite interesting. So you did
Mango.
campsite hide and seek, and that's your go. Okay.
Mountain walking.
I think that is, and again, if we look on the front, walking or hiking, is definitely a use that you can put it to. And we're going to come now to, we've changed the scenario, but we have a familiar outcome, don't we? Yeah, we have a decent way of preparing a hot, nutritious meal without resorting to a camping stove. Yeah, and all of the high-risk things that are involved in a camping stove. Yeah, whereas this, I'm not saying it's no risk, because obviously there is boiling water and there is quicklime in there, but we have moved away much more to a low risk. Yeah, so yes, you could definitely take this away mountain walking. Yeah. Where else could we use it? Is there anywhere else we could use it?
Well, coming slightly away from the food side of things, if you were out in the snow, and you'd woken up and your clothes were cold, maybe you could use it to warm maybe your underwear or something, or your socks.
You could use it to warm your hands. Yeah. So just stay away from those vents. You can use it to warm your hands. There has been, don't get too close, there has been an age-old debate on what to do if you wake up in a frozen tent with socks that are stiff with frost, and gloves and hat, and everything is just frozen, and possibly your pants as well. You stuffed it all in there, popped a heater in the bottom with some water. In about 10 or 15 minutes, you would have toasty warm socks. I can see one big disadvantage in using this system for that, in that probably after you put your warm socks and underpants and hat and gloves on, you'd be thinking about having some breakfast.
Ew.
So maybe if you wanted to employ that, maybe you should borrow one of somebody else's one of these.
But don't tell them what you're doing.
Excuse me, can I borrow your Flameless Cook Set, please?
Because I don't have one and I want to toast up some beans and sausage.
Have you got any more uses for it that we might not have covered so far?
No.
No? Okay, so let's give it one more stir, and then we will look at the disadvantages of this particular system.
We have a dirty one.
Yep, just give it a stir.
It's looking good already.
There's quite a lot of condensation formed on the inside of the lid.
Also,
I'm wondering whether it's from the steam or whether it's from the food. Mini Prepper, can you see steam rising from the food or just from the heater?
Just heater.
Just from the heater. Okay. Okay.
That's what I see.
Tap the sauce off on the sides of you. That's it. Okay.
Like that.
So, what are the disadvantages to using something like this?
There isn't a very large food space.
There isn't a very large food space. 850 millilitres. Yeah.
Opposite TARDIS.
It is like an opposite TARDIS. Yeah. I'm going to risk with my fingers, but that is the size of food tray that you get to prepare. So you could put 2 of these pouches in here, but then it would be absolutely full. And if you look at the whole unit when it's assembled,
It looks pretty big.
it is very big.
Yeah.
So size is definitely an issue. It is like a reverse TARDIS. It is massive on the outside and little on the inside. Yeah?
I've got here on this packet, it just says here, it says that the quicklime is irritant.
Quicklime is an irritant. Quicklime is not very good for you, particularly if it's ingested or you get it in your eyes. It would be really, really dangerous. If you get it on your skin, then yes, it's going to give you nasty burns on your skin. Particularly if your skin's wet and you get it on your skin, then you're going to get two sorts of burns. You're going to get heat burns and you're going to get chemical burns. Yeah. Does it say anywhere on the packet that you should handle the heat pack with gloves or anything like that?
I don't think it does actually. It does say here, use with caution and be aware of the risk of burning or scalding.
There you go. So there is a risk, but it's not necessarily a medium or even a high risk. It's a low risk, but you do need to treat it with respect and you do need to treat it with care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've removed one kind of burning with using a gas system to actual physical burning to a chemical kind of burning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mini burn.
This is a really good system though for using in a cave system or in a national park where you can't have a flame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is a flameless system, and using chemicals is a viable option in some environments, more so than using a flame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it your go? What are
Yeah.
the disadvantages of the system with a food system
It
like this?
doesn't fully cook food, it only reheats. Like if you wanted to put a raw chicken in there, it would only heat it up.
It would only heat it up, yeah. So you can't cook with ingredients.
No.
No. So you could make a stew, you could make a chicken stew or a chicken casserole,
Yeah.
yeah, and you could reheat it in here and bring it up to a safe eating temperature, but you can't cook in it. Which with a gas system, there is the option there that you could cook using ingredients, couldn't you? Yeah? That's a very good point. So it is limited by the fact that it has a maximum operating temperature of 100 degrees centigrade. Yeah? Okay?
And like it says on here, there's a risk of burning or scalding yourself.
There is. There is. It works like a bain-marie that you get on a buffet, where essentially this metal pot here sits in hot water.
Yeah.
And it's the being in a bath of hot water that heats the food, which means that in this black tub here is really hot water and steam and a chemical heat pack that, as you've already highlighted, is an irritant. Yeah? So you do just need to be aware of that, but looks pretty safe to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? Certainly not an unsafe thing. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have any more disadvantages of a problem like this?
There is a risk of spilling the hot liquid.
There is a risk of spilling the hot liquid. I think even with the lid on, because of these vents here that allow the steam to come out, they would also allow water to come out, and that water would be hot. So if you were to knock it over, I think that's quite good.
That was.
As an impromptu spill test, I thought the outcome of that was really quite good.
Maybe if it's just you knock it over the force.
Well, I want to try it again, but it's full of beans and sausages, and I don't want the beans and sausages to go everywhere. Yeah. No.
No?
No spill for little spill for liquid.
If you want, if you take the lid off and want to eat it, there still is a risk.
There is still a risk. You're absolutely right there. Once you've taken the lid off and you're holding it and you're eating out of it, then you could spill hot water out of yourself around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could spill all the stuff on
You could. Yeah.
I think there's one more, Daddy Pepper.
Okay.
And it's like quite a high cost if you think about it.
It is quite a high cost thing to buy. The box itself is about £30. Yeah. So you have to have done your research to end up with one, or you have to have a massive curiosity like me to actually have one. The heat packs come in two sizes, 20 grams and 50 grams. The 20 gram ones are more for use with the cup rather than the food box, and the 50 gram ones cost £12 for 10. or between £12 and £15 for 10. So after your initial cost of about £30, each bowl of food costs you about £1.20 to £1.50 to heat. Yeah, which is why I said at the beginning, probably for use with baby food, it's a really good backup. Yeah, but not your go-to system. Yeah, I think it's certainly something that fills a niche, but it doesn't fill a space. There are some of us that can remember back to the 1970s and 1980s and going camping in the early 1980s, and the Trangia revolutionised cooking. Yeah, when I was a teenager, that's what everybody wanted, a Trangia. Yeah, and it remained that way for most of my adult life until maybe the jet boil came along. Yeah, I don't think this is going to revolutionise cooking like they did. Yeah, but I do think it is a handy thing to have about. Yeah, definitely a handy thing to have about. Yeah. So is that all of our pros and cons?
Yeah, everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Okay, so let's see how
I've got a spoonful.
we did. Let me have
Spoon.
my spoon, and we will.
Mine.
I'll just try it and make sure it's not too hot. That is almost, well, you preppers tell me what you think, but that is almost too hot to eat.
Really?
Really?
Okay. I'm scared. We're only going to get a tiny bit.
That's hot, isn't it? It's a really effective system for heating food,
Ooh.
isn't
It's
it?
good though.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And because there's no gas flame, there's no hot spot on the bottom of the tin, so none of the food is stuck to the bottom of the tin.
It's all even.
Yeah, it's all evenly cooked. Yeah.
Let's try a sausage. It's just like a real breakfast. You couldn't tell the difference.
The brand of food that we chose, Wayfarer, which is a good one to test with,
Yeah.
because most camping and caravanning shops stock it, so it's not something that people are going to be unfamiliar with.
Please
Yeah.
hold the tap.
So they are very, very well renowned company, and they do make really good quality food.
These are good.
Is that good?
Sausages? Try the sausage.
Yeah. I tried one before. I tried one to make sure it wasn't too hot for you to eat.
I cut mine in half.
Uh-huh.
It is pretty hard.
I'm going to cut all the sausages in half.
So as a cooking system, you think it's a successful cooking system?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. There's just maybe that one reservation that when we started it off at the very beginning,
It spilled.
it did spit and spill a little bit, didn't it? But at that stage in the process, the spit and spill was still cold. So it was messy, but it wasn't dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah? Let me have
Gave me a bit of a shock actually.
try a little piece of the bacon and make sure it's heated all the way through. I'm impressed with the heat.
Me too actually. I thought
I
it would
really,
just be warm.
I thought it would just be warm as well. But that is really, I mean, if we,
It's pretty hot.
come on mini prepper, grab some food.
I can't get the...
I know you're,
Trying to get some egg.
you're hunting and you're gathering.
Yeah, I got one.
So, could I have the towel again, please?
Yes, woman.
If we remove this out of the way, which is where you can see that there is steam coming from the surface of the food. That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
warm it is.
There is. And
Yeah.
also coming from the outside tin.
Well, there is condensation on the outside of the tin, that much is true. But condensation is, by its nature, not water vapour anymore. Yeah,
'cause it's
so that's not steam, is it?
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Well,
What is this?
I'm impressed.
I'm
It's
impressed as
square.
well.
Yeah.
This is square.
That's a piece of bacon.
Square bacon.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I think this has been the end of a very successful test for the Yellowstone 850 milliliter Flameless Cook Set. This was our first start to end cooking with an MRE style pre-cooked pouch food, and certainly a very, very successful test and a product. Would we recommend this product?
Yeah, 10 stars out of 10.
10 stars out of 10. Obviously
100
not very,
out of 100.
yeah, okay. Obviously not very experienced reviewers and very easily impressed by shiny things. Okay guys, we'll leave it there. As always, if you've enjoyed our video, please like, share and subscribe. This has been Matt and
Meso Prepper
and
Mini Prepper.
for Prepared UK. We'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.
Bye.